Welcome to This Week in Northwest Georgia Football, brought to you by Riverside Auto Group and produced by WLAQ Sports. Each week, we bring you insight, analysis, interviews, and our predictions for the week's matchups around the Northwest Georgia area. Here are your hosts.
Yes, we are here, your host, and we're glad to be with you today on this episode of This Week in Northwest Georgia Football. And believe it or not, we're getting ready to talk about Week 11 games here on the program. And guess what, man? We got this week and next week, Halloween weekend, and the regular season will be in the books.
Yeah, I think it kind of hit me when I was doing my research this week, and I got to Cedartown's schedule and realized that's the last game Cedartown plays this year. Their season will be over. They're not going to make the playoffs, unfortunately, but, so that's it. And there's other teams around the state that are done after this week. So it always goes by fast, but it seems to go by faster every year.
The longer in the tooth you get, I am discovering that it's like that snowball rolling down a hill effect. The faster it goes, the faster it goes. And I'm told by people that are older than we are that it gets even more pronounced as you go along. But, man,
I hope not.
It's zoomed by this year for sure. Well, we've got a lot of games we're going to be talking about and picking, but the thing that we always like to do as we open up the show, Ian, is go over last week's results. And we've been picking pretty strong here lately. This week I was 6-0. This past week you were 5-1. So, unfortunately for you, I'm back to a 5-game lead. You were starting to dig out of the hole. But I dug it a little deeper.
It's usually one or two teams that I'll hop on the bandwagon with that end up burning me in the pigs. So, yep, you got me. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to eclipse this lead you've built. So, not as bad as last year yet.
Well,
there's still time.
That's true. Well, let's see what happens, because last year I remember you're not afraid to be a riverboat gambler when you're in a hole to try to climb back in. I guess what difference does it make if you're down 5 games or 10?
Right.
So go for it is what I say. But anyway, the one that I got you on last week, you had picked Coosa to beat Dade, and Dade came away with the victory there playing at home, and so that was our difference last week. But otherwise, perfect in the picks. Fannin County, beat Almerchi last week. We didn't pick the Darlington game. They picked up a really nice win over the Model Blue Devils, and I was looking at the Rome News-Tribune's website today, and the thought that Coach Groves had on it was the thought that I was thinking about after the game. And I think it's kind of obvious, but it was their most complete game. They were good, from beginning to finish of the game. They communicated well. They executed plays. They made plays when they needed to, and they scored a lot of points in that game, winning 47-21, which we'll talk more about that coming up a little bit later on. And then, Pepperell was in trouble early against Haralson County, stormed back and won that game. What was your reaction when you were watching the score of that one?
I mean, I wasn't shocked because, look, it's hard to stay in the right mindset. They have that game with Heard County looming, right? They've got a bye week. So it's easy to go into a game like that and be looking ahead a little bit, and you're going up against a team who can really slow things down and take a methodical approach with the way they play football. If they're running the ball well, they're going to be in the game, and obviously they were early. So kudos to Pepperell for being able to fall behind and then have the moxie to fight back and win, because that's a good Haralson County team, and that will only build their character as they move towards a region championship game. Let's just call it what it is. When they play Hurd in 2 weeks, that's for all the marbles here.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, that is as solid can be now. I think that is ironclad. That is the championship game for the region.
So that's huge. That's huge. They get a week off to prepare for it. But that hurt. I think the game against Haralson County will only make the Dragons that much better. Whatever happens with Hurd, you take that experience into the playoffs as well. So big win for the Dragons.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. And when you look at the Dragons and the way they've had to win some games this year, as far as they've come from the beginning of the season to where they are now, those are the moments, like you mentioned, that really help you when you get the playoffs and make a deep run. So this team is capable of a lot. I don't think we've seen them reach their ceiling yet, and they've been pretty darn good. So It's going to be interesting to see if they can keep heading in that direction. We'll see what happens. You had, Rockmart with another region win. What's that bring that total
65?
up to? 65, I think they are now. Consecutive region wins. They picked up a win over a good LFO team. The Cedartown Bulldogs went up against Cartersville. That kind of turned out how you expected it would, with a young team and then a team that with a lot of experience clicking all cylinders, and Cartersville, a team that probably, I won't say they will win a state championship, but they're capable of it for sure.
The Hurricanes are just the definition of a team that reloads every year. Yep. You think eventually they're going to drop off, but so far that has not happened.
No, it hasn't. And talking about a team that is rolling right now, the Rome Wolves pick up another victory. This one was over South Paulding, the Spartans. And they've got a matchup that a lot of people have been talking about throughout the course of the year, and facing a team that's undefeated. And I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on that coming up a little bit later. Yeah. But Rome looks to be in good shape here. And who knows what they'll be able to accomplish once they get in the playoffs.
Right, it's on the road, and we'll dive into that matchup. But we talked about Pepperell and Hurd being set as a region championship. This game against New Manchester, there's both teams should beat their opponents the final week of the season. This is the region championship for Rome as well. So they're going on the road, and if they can win it, they put another title under John Reed's tenure.
Oh, absolutely, and. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. I don't want to tip my cap too early in the show, but you probably know which way I'm going.
I think I can make a guess.
Probably so. So here's the list of games that we're going to be talking about being played in Week 11 and predicting most of them. We're going to talk about the Unity Christian School Lions, who are undefeated. They're going to Johnson Ferry Christian Academy to take on the Saints. I think that's in Marietta. You've got Gordon Central Warriors going over to Almerchi to play at H.A. Lindsay Stadium. The Gordon Lee Trojans are going to be out there at Branch Spragg Field playing the Coosa Eagles. The Temple Tigers are going to be at Chris Hunter Stadium taking on the Darlington Tigers. So we're going to have to get a little bit more specific when we're saying Go Tigers on the show this week, coming up in just a little bit. You've got the Model Blue Devils in, and they're going to be going to Hurd County to take on a tough Braves team and a tough place to play, but a great environment for high school football.
Yeah, really nice setting down there in the little bowl. What an impressive facility they have in Franklin, Georgia.
No question about that. Then you've got the Calhoun Yellow Jackets going to Heritage Catoosa to take on the Generals, or Heritage Ringgold, rather. And then you've got Cedartown Bulldogs going over to Woodland, as you mentioned, wrapping up their season coming up this weekend. And then the Rome Wolves are hitting the road to take on New Manchester Jaguar. One Jaguar.
Jaguar.
The
Jaguar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Jaguars is a thing, right? So I wonder why it's just Jaguar.
I don't know.
But anyway, and then a team that is off this week is the Pepperell Dragons. So one of the things that means is that I would imagine that Clay will make a cameo appearance at least on the Rome Orthopedic Center High School Football Scoreboard Show in person in the studio. He normally does on the bye weeks, so we'll see.
Or he makes the trip down to Franklin to watch. His model's playing there, so might as well go scout your opponent the next week.
Oh, absolutely.
Get ready.
Absolutely.
They're good.
Very good. As a matter of fact, that Hurd County team, and we're going to talk more about this, I think, a little bit later. We will when we pick the model in Hurd County game, but I'll just go ahead and say it, and I think you definitely would agree with this. But of the teams that we've seen this year, most complete team from top to bottom. Yeah. They've got it. They've got it all.
They do. They really do. Not saying they're unbeatable, but but yeah, complete team. Top to bottom.
Absolutely. Well, this is obviously This Week in Northwest Georgia football coming up at 7 o'clock. If you are watching this on a Wednesday, we've got the Coach Groves Show. So the head coach of the Darlington Tigers, Wayne Groves, is going to be in this very studio with us. And we're going to have a fun conversation today talking about their victory over Model, and then also the matchup coming up against Temple. And one of the things that's going to happen at the Darlington game coming up on Friday night, you want to be there for, obviously, the game, but you want to get there early because they're going to have a special ceremony in where they retire Tate Ratledge's jersey. And that's going to be super exciting. Of course, now he's starting for the Detroit Lions. Before that, won a couple of national championships with the Georgia Bulldogs, but it all started Lakeside playing for the Darlington Tigers. And boy, what a career he had there on the offensive line. Also as a defensive player, he was the punter. He did a little bit of everything and did a great job at everything he did on the football field while a Darlington Tiger. So that's going to be a special moment for sure.
Yeah, Darlington legend, a Georgia legend. And now, on Monday night, I'm watching or maybe it was Sunday night. I can't remember
Monday.
when. It was Monday. It was Monday night. Yeah, just why. And there he is sitting on the bench right next to another Northwest Georgia product, Jahmyr Gibbs. So, you know, what are the odds that those two end up on the same NFL squad? But a rookie who's out there starting from game one. It's going to be a special night at Chris Hunter.
And I'll go ahead and interject this story now, but back when Jahmyr was playing at Dalton and Tate was still at Darlington, I guess it was his senior year, Darlington played Dalton in a spring game, and I went up there with Steve Conrad, and we watched the game. At that point, I didn't know who Jahmyr Gibbs was, but everybody that was at that game that didn't know, they knew when they left. And I think it was a day or two later when they announced that he was going to play for Georgia Tech, and then obviously spent a year there and then ended up with Alabama. And now, as you mentioned, those two guys sharing the same high school football field, playing for the same team, sometimes true stranger than fiction in a lot of ways.
Indeed.
Not surprised they're both in the NFL, but on the same team?
Yeah, what are the odds?
That's wild. What are the odds? So anyway, with that said, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll start diving in and picking some games. This is going to be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah,
and,
it's a good week.
Go ahead.
It's a great slate of games.
Absolutely. So let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Are you shopping for a new car, truck, or SUV? Riverside Auto Group has a location to meet your needs. Browse their selection online at riversideautogroup.com or visit with them in person at Riverside Chevrolet GMC in Rome, Riverside Toyota in Rome, Riverside Nissan in Rome, or Riverside GMC Cadillac in Cartersville. Locally owned and operated by the Welburn family since 1974. That's Riverside Auto Group.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our second segment of This Week in Northwest Georgia Football. We're ready to do some grinning and some picking.
We need like a sound effect or something like that where somebody goes,
banjo.
Let's get ready to rumble, and then jump into the picks. Well, the first game that we're going to talk about, Ian, is going to pit the Unity Christian School Lions against the Johnson Ferry Christian Academy Saints. That's a mouthful. And the Unity Lions so far are 8-0, perfect, 3-0 region play. Johnson Ferry, kind of been mixed results for them. They're 3-5, 2-1, have some kind of head-scratching losses, some good wins, that sort of thing. So it's been kind of a mixed bag, but there's only one way to see it.
Pick it first, man. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead and pick this one. Well, this one is simple. Unity has been the picture of consistency on both sides of the ball for the better part of the season. They're averaging 48.5 points a game, giving up just 8. They pitched several shutouts. Again, just the picture of consistency. And, you know, of course, when you talk about football, you don't want to throw rat poison out there because even the best teams out there in a league can come out and lay an egg, have a tough game, make some mistakes, maybe turn the ball over, those sorts of things, and kind of put themselves in a tough spot. But we have not seen Unity do that. They've been so consistent. So I expect that we're going to continue to see that, and I think they're going to get the best of Johnson Ferry on the road, and we'll pick up their 9th victory in a row this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just hit the nail on the head there. The Lions continue to handle success well, right? They go out, they're taking it they're approaching it with a one game at a time mentality, and showing up ready to play in the right mental state and winning games big. Now, this will be a test of that because next week you got Pinecrest Academy waiting in the wings. That's pretty much your de facto region championship game. They're a pretty good football team. So you got to stay focused on the Saints. And I think they will. I have no reason to believe they're going to do anything else but go out and dominate. That's what this team has done all year.
So you're not going out on a limb on that one.
No.
We agree. The next game on the list, we're moving into 7 Single A Division I. We'll pick 2 games there. We're going to talk about the Gordon Central Warriors, who are having a heck of a year. They are 5-3 overall, 2-3 in region play. They're facing the Armurchie Indians, who have just experienced a lot of adversity this year on and off the field and just haven't been able to get off the mat and have a lot of positive things happen this year. They're 0-7, 0-5 in region play. Series history-wise, pretty interesting. They're locked up at 5 games apiece with 1 tie. So this is a game that could put Gordon Central in the driver's seat in the lead of the series, if that sort of thing matters to you. And Gordon Central is 1 win away from securing a winning record this year, which is something they hadn't done since 2012. And then not only that, this is a team that is vying for a playoff spot. And I think there's still a little bit that has to shake out, but they're pretty close to it. So I think that, I bring that up because I think that Gordon Central comes in, they're going to be locked in, they're going to be focused. There's no shortage of motivation for them for what's in front of them. And I think that's going to cause some problems here for the Almerchi Indians. They've, like I said, had a ton of adversity. Aaron Avery, I think he's a talented, young, enthusiastic coach. And I think that he can build something, in the next few years at Almerchi. But it's been tough sledding this year, and I think it's going to continue this week. I think Gordon Central is just going to be the better team.
All right. Well, the Warriors got off to a real hot start, 5-0, in fact, but they've lost their last 3, so it's been a little bit of a slide since that great start. But everything is in front of them. I think they have a chance to win out. I'm picking them to win this game. I'm not going to hide that. I think they go on the road, get the win, but they've got Dade County next week. I think they can compete with the Wolverines. I think that there's still a really good chance for the Warriors to get a playoff game. How big would that be for that community, that fan base? The Indians would love to play spoiler, and they're going to give it everything they've got in front of their home crowd, but I don't think it's going to be enough to beat the Warriors.
Absolutely. I just, hopefully they'll have some positive things happen in the game. And like you say, all the pressure is on Gordon Central Warriors. And how many times you've been watching a football game where that's been the case and things didn't go their way. So, we'll see what happens. Certainly going to be rooting for Coach Avery and his Almerchi Indians, but we both agree that Gordon Central should win this game. Moving to the next one, I think this one could be pretty clear as well. The Gordon Lee Trojans, boy, what a season they're having, Ian. 7-1, 5-0, perfect in region play. They're going to Coosa, Branch Bragg Field. Coosa's 2-6, 1-4 in region play. Coosa leads the series 6-3. The Trojans won it last year 42-14. I'm curious to see your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon Lee's they brought back a lot of talent from last year's squad. They handled the Eagles at home last year. The difference in this ballgame, Coosa can score some points. They're not quite as explosive as Gordon Lee, however, and the Trojans know how to get stops on defense. That's a recipe for a big win. I know the game's at Branch Bragg, but I still think that Gordon Lee wins this one by 3 or 4 scores.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one, and I think you hit the nail on the head. The biggest issue that you've seen with Coosa this year is getting stops. They have really struggled on the defensive side of the ball. They've got a really good quarterback. They can move the ball. They can score some points, but Gordon Lee is going to get their points. They do it every game. They got a running back I was reading about in the Georgia High School Football Daily, Lane Vaughn. He scored 3 touchdowns for the 3rd consecutive game last week, rushed for 142 yards. They picked up a 48-13 victory over a team we just talked about, Gordon Central, which is a pretty decent team this year. So that shows you a little bit about what they've got. And I agree with you. Their defensive numbers are impressive as well. So I think this one, should be pretty clear, but you never know. Coosa does have some playmakers on this team. The way I look at this one, man, is I just feel like if Coosa's going to have a shot to win, they have to match Gordon Lee's offense. I don't think this is going to be a low-scoring game because I think Gordon Lee's going to get their points. So the question is, can Coosa find a way to generate enough offense to hang with them? And we'll see if they can do that. And if they can, it might be a ball game. But Gordon Lee's, they're having a special season for sure.
Yeah, we see this one the same.
Yes, sir. So let's see. We've got a couple more games that we're going to pick before we take our next break. So let's go ahead and talk. Well, this one we're not going to pick, but we're going to talk about it. It's the Temple Tigers and the Darlington Tigers at Chris Hunter Stadium. Darlington has been the ultimate road dogs this year. They have, wrong animal, but you get what I'm trying to say there. 6 out of 10 of the regular season games have been road games. Those are done. Now the Tigers have the opportunity to play at home the last 2 weeks of the season after picking up a much-needed win last week. It'll be interesting to see if they can carry that momentum into a game against Temple, who had a bye week last week. They start off the season strong, Ian, won 4 games. They've lost 4 straight region games. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I try to remind myself each season that we can think we know what a team is all we want. It sometimes takes more than half a season to find out what they really are, though. And early in the season, Temple's just blowing the doors off the competition. Yeah, it was lesser competition, but they looked the part of the team we watched last year. but they have replaced a lot. I think more so on the defensive side and at the skill player positions. This is not the same Temple Tigers team we saw last year. And when we talk about the other Tigers in this matchup, the Darlington Tigers, they went to Temple last year, and it was one of those nights. It was just disastrous. The injury to Sammy Konchesky, the way the turnovers just poured on. I think that was the longest first half I've ever sat through. It was tough.
When Sammy went down, it took the air out of the stadium for the Darlington fans and whatnot. And I felt they were a little bit shell shocked in that moment, and it was tough. It was really tough.
Well, Temple has struggled to score in their last 3 matchups against Harrelson, Hurd, and Bremen. They've only scored 6 points. Tigers can play some defense. The Tigers, if they can limit the turn, you said last week, they clicked. They played their most complete game last week, so they're coming in with some much-needed confidence off that win. I think that makes a big difference in how the Tigers come out. I know that they're going to play their tails off for Coach Groves every time, but when you get that win, it gets the mojo back, and that helps a lot. So I think with Nate Konchesky settling in, it looks like he's going to be the guy to start under center. I think the Tigers have a recipe for victory here, and we're talking a home playoff game is still on the table if they can find a way to get this win and move on to Bremen next week.
Absolutely, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's almost like you hit a reset button on the season with that win last week, because obviously the Tigers have kept grinding. They had a tough several weeks. They hadn't won a game since the end of August, didn't win in September. Pick up that win on the road last week, and I think they're going to come into this game with a renewed confidence. Not that they lost any enthusiasm, but they're going to have a different swagger, a different energy, I think, in this game than you've seen. And I definitely think this is one of those games where the matchup is pretty solid. I think I don't know if looking at points and things like that in high school matters as much as it does at other levels, but I saw it was pretty even, that sort of thing. So I think this could be a really good game, and I'm looking forward to it. And I know it's going to be great to be by the lakeside. We mentioned the ceremony to retire Tate Ratledge's jersey ahead of the game and everything that's going on with that. It's going to be a fun night. It's going to be great to be over there. We'll be glad to have the call for you.
Heck yeah.
So it's going to be fun. Not picking that one, though. But anyway, we're going to move into one more game before we take our last break. This is going to be the Model Blue Devils. Got a tough trip over to Franklin, Georgia, to take on a really good Heard County Braves team. Models 1-7, 0-4 in region play. Heard County's 8-0, 4-0, perfect all the way this season so far. They got a win over Bowden. They beat some really good teams this year. Yeah. I will say this, though. That Model Blue Devils team has got some playmakers on the team. C.J. Walker's a good quarterback. He can run. He can throw. He's got some, wide receivers that he can get the ball to with Chaden Woodley and Rance Cunningham. They got a really good running back in Jaden Edwards. One of their running backs is hurt. I'm not sure if he'll be back or not. That's Colin Watson. But I think one of the areas that they've struggled is in this particular region, you got to have some big physical linemen to compete for the region, because it seems like every team in this region is stacked at the line of scrimmage. And I think that's where they might need a little bit of help, like you can say for a few teams in this particular region. So, I think they'll make some plays in the game and will generate some excitement for the fans. But at the end of the day, I think this Heard County Braves team is going to be a little bit too much.
Yeah, we know the Model Blue Devils won't quit fighting, and they're going to take that fight to Franklin, Georgia on Friday night to face the Braves. But then you look across at the team that they're going up against. Ethan Tisdale at quarterback is a problem. That guy can beat you with his legs. He's one of those frustrating players that you can defend everything downfield perfectly, and then he will extend the play and either find a receiver or run 75 yards zigzagging across the field. He's that kind of playmaker. And it's not just him. He's got a very beefy, athletic offensive line in front of him, and they're the same way on defense. These guys are big and talented and athletic, and it's going to cause problems for Model. So, unfortunately, I think the Braves continue to do what they've done throughout region play and win big.
I would agree with you on that one. So I'm going to take the Heard County Braves to win the game. That's the last pick of this segment. We're starting to kind of run out of time, but we have 3 more games to talk about, so we'll come back, burn through those in just a couple of moments. This is This Week in Northwest Georgia Football, our Week 11 edition of the program. We'll be right back.
Are you shopping for a new car, truck, or SUV? Riverside Auto Group has a location to meet your needs. Browse their selection online at riversideautogroup.com or visit with them in person at Riverside Chevrolet GMC in Rome, Riverside Toyota in Rome, Riverside Nissan in Rome, or Riverside GMC Cadillac in Cartersville. Locally owned and operated by the Welburn family since 1974. That's Riverside Auto Group.
And we welcome you back to one more segment of This Week in Northwest Georgia Football, where we pick the high school football games of the weekend and give you our analysis for whatever that is worth to you. We have a lot of fun doing it, and we hope that you have fun watching and listening to the show, however you join us. And we got 3 more games to talk about, and we're running out of time. So we're going to burn through these pretty quickly. We're going to talk about the number 3 in the state, Calhoun Yellow Jackets out of AAA. This is Region 7 3A. Yellow Jackets are going to Heritage to take on the Generals. They are 6-2, 3-1 in region. Meanwhile, Calhoun 6-2, 4-0. Ian, how do you see this one?
You look at the Generals' record and the region standings, and if you're not familiar with these two teams, you might think this has the look of a primetime matchup. But the truth about Region 7 AAA is this simple. There's the Yellow Jackets, and there's everybody else. Yeah. Calhoun wins big.
No, I'm with you on this one. You know, Heritage has been a playoff team 9 years in a row. I've always viewed them as a really hard-nosed football team. Some years they have pretty decent amount of depth and size and things like that at the line of scrimmage. But Calhoun's a different animal. They played a tough schedule. They're just a well-seasoned football team, and they don't take anybody for granted, and they're going to win this game. So I take the Calhoun Yellow Jackets as well. Here's the Cedartown Bulldogs at 2-7, 0-5 in region play. Ian, they're going to Woodland to take on the Wildcats. And the first thing I want to say about this matchup is here you have an opportunity for a young team that has been grinding all years, had a few good things happen, but it's been a tough season. But they have an opportunity, Ian, to finish on a positive note, and I think that's really huge for a young team in particular.
Yeah, look, 7 Quad A is a brutal meat grinder of a region, period. And that's tough when you're bringing a young team, out on the field each week. So it hasn't gone the way Cedartown wanted it to go, obviously, and Woodland has also struggled to a 1-7 record. But I think these programs are still light years apart, personally, from a talent perspective. And while this is a road game, I think Cedartown gets to finish the season by going out there and doing a little stomping. I feel like they're going to win this one big and be able to go into the offseason on a positive.
I agree, and I really think that's huge, and I think that's one of the things that obviously has probably been a key point of emphasis for Coach Atha and his staff is finishing what they started strong and then building for the future, because that's what football is. It's one of those situations where you're constantly trying to get better and build. And if anybody knows how to do that, it's Coach Atha and the staff that he's put together. So it's going to be interesting to watch that program over the next few years and watch them grow and get better, because they will if you follow Coach Atha's career. And we have, because we covered his games on WLAQ when he was at Darlington for the entire 21 seasons he was there and had a lot of fun doing it. So certainly rooting for them and for great success, and hopefully they will have some success this weekend. We both predict that they will.
Yep.
All right, one more game real quick. This is the Rome Wolves going to New Manchester, a game that's been talked about a lot throughout the course of the year. Rome's number 8 in the state in 5A. They are 6-2, 5-0. New Manchester, unblemished, 7-0 and 5-0. But I don't think they've quite played the competition that Rome did, particularly early in the season.
That's where I'm going with this analysis here. The Wolves get their first major test of region play, going on the road to take on the Jaguar. They're 7-0. They've got a pretty stout defense, giving up just under 12 points per game, and the offense is averaging over 40 points a game. Rome's numbers are similar, but the biggest difference to me is the non-region strength of schedule. Rome played some juggernauts. New Manchester did not. They've taken care of business. Credit to them. They get it at home. All right, that's an advantage to them. But this Rome team is clicking on offense and defense, and I think Aiden McPherson finds a way to get his playmakers the ball in space. He beats them over the top. Rome, the offense is the difference in this one. I think that's why the Wolves will clinch another region championship.
Wow, that's incredible. I agree with you on that. Too many playmakers here for this Rome team, and as you've mentioned, iron sharpens iron, played those tough matchups in the beginning of the year, got through that. They were a better team after that took place. And those are the type of things that prepare you for what's coming up in a couple of weeks. And that's the postseason. Watch out for this Rome team. They're clicking at the right time. So I'm taking Rome as well. Pepperell's off this weekend, and that is our program for today. I do want to run down our schedule. Obviously, we got the Coach Grove show coming up after this, so stick around. However you're with us tonight. Then on Friday night, we will mention to you at 6:15, you'll get the radio edition of this program on WLAQ. At 6:45, the Coach Grove Show, radio edition. At 7:15, the Tiger Kickoff Show, live from Chris Hunter Stadium. Sounds good to say that,
doesn't
it?
It does.
After being on the road much of the year. And then, of course, Darlington toe meets leather against the Temple Tigers at 7:30. But get there early so that you can be a part of the Tate Ratledge jersey retirement ceremony. So there you go. That puts a wrap on the show. Thanks for your time, Ian. Appreciate you, man.
Always a pleasure.
All right, folks, that wraps up this week in Northwest Georgia football. Have a great weekend.
This has been another edition of This Week in Northwest Georgia Football, brought to you by Riverside Auto Group and produced by WLAQ Sports. We appreciate you tuning in and invite you to tune in again next week. Please like, share, and subscribe.